Welcome back to DIVEBOMB IndyCar Podcast, and we are now about 2 weeks out from the season open on the streets of St. Petersburg, which is very exciting. Of course, as the new season, he had to return to the show. It'd be rude not to invite Louis Foster back on the podcast before the season starts. So, Louis, welcome. How have you been? How's your off-season been treating you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Pretty busy, kind of. A lot of training going on. A few holidays here and there, but pretty chill, honestly. Nice and enjoyable, and it's good to be back in the car finally. Obviously, we've just got back from our Sebring test, which went okay. I was happy with how it went from my end, but I think we had things to work on as a team for sure. So yeah, looking forward. We got Phoenix now in a week or so, just under a week actually. The open test there, and then St. Pete's in 2 weeks, as you said.
Sebring's obviously a bit of a weird test because it's kind of simulates street courses for you guys, because obviously you can't test a street course anywhere else, and obviously the fact it's kind of the first big test for everybody. So as a team kind of going into that, when you have everyone driving at some point, what are kind of the main focuses of that test for you guys?
It depends really, team to team. You know, I don't know what Andretti, Penske, Chip Ganassi, or any McLaren, we don't know what their run plans are or what their intentions of the test are, but usually it's one of two things: trying things that either are risky to try on race weekends, maybe not the right word, but something that you usually wouldn't try, and also trying things that are more difficult to try. I would say probably two key points for me personally, because obviously we're so limited on testing. You know, this car's been out for so many years now that everyone's got a pretty good idea of how they want to run their car and what they think's best and the ways to go about that. But if you want to try something a little bit off piste, the best time to do it is during testing. For us, we did a bit of long running. We tried to do more, but we got plagued with some other issues, so we couldn't in the end. But we got a few long runs in, which is what I wanted to do for myself, because obviously last year qualifying was good, but racing wasn't the best. And yeah, we did a lot of damper stuff. It's a good circuit to do that because obviously it's very bumpy. I would equate the bumpiness of Sebring to somewhere like Toronto, I would say roughly, or at least old Toronto now. So yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do at the track at Sebring. So yeah, overall it's a good learning process if you get it right. If you get it wrong, then you learn nothing and you walk away having done 2 days driving around the shortest track we ever go to.
So how much can you learn from Sebring? Because I know ECR, for instance, actually didn't use that and ended up doing a rookie test day instead. So how much can you actually learn from it as a track? You say it's very short, it's bumpy, obviously kind of, as Dan said, it maybe mimics a street course almost in some ways. So yeah, what can you actually gain from that test?
I think if you're a team that has a big damper program, it's a bit more important and it's more valuable. You know, it's a track where dampers can be felt and utilized a lot. So I think if you're in the off season, you've prepared, 5-6 different sets of dampers and packages, you can try it out for sure. Now, if you haven't really been doing much damper development and there isn't really much for you to try in the damper department, then in my opinion, your uses kind of waver a little bit. There's always something to learn. I mean, if you leave a test and you literally say you've learned nothing, then you're an idiot, in my opinion. So there's always something to learn. It's just about maximizing that track and that test and making sure that you're trying the right things. There's no point in messing around with downforce settings at Sebring because we don't race there and, it's just pointless. But when it comes to dampers and ride control, it's a track that's definitely useful for that. And you can also see other teams as well. You've got, team members out there watching each car and you can physically see the cars, how they ride the bumps. It's quite a good track actually to look at that.
So the off season, you spoke a little bit about it at the top, but any particular highlights? You said you've been on holiday a couple of times.
You're always on holiday.
Me? No, I'm not always on holiday. I went on
your Instagram says differently.
Well, I just don't post a lot of the off season. I went on basically 1.5 vacations, I would say. I went to Greece and then I went to the Caribbean for 3 nights, like last week.
Where in the Caribbean?
Turks and Caicos.
Oh wow,
nice,
it's exotic.
Yeah, it was exotic, hot, and a lot of mosquitoes, but it was good. Highlight of the off season?
speaking to us in November.
That's my top 5 probably. I would say top 3 maybe. Man, now you're making me think of what I've actually done in the off season. I think mainly just mates of mine and just like having time to spend with mates of mine. That's probably like the easiest one. Went to LA to see some friends and what. I guess that's kind of a holiday, I guess. But anyway.
Nice. How did you spend Christmas? You came home for Christmas, did you?
Yeah, I was back in Jersey. Yeah.
Okay, nice. How was that?
Yeah, good. No dramas. Just me, my mum, my dad, and my brother, and our 2 dogs. That we have quite a small Christmas. So, but yeah, I ate a lot of food. Probably gained a bit of weight, but who cares?
Didn't crash into your mum's car this year.
Never crashed into my mum's car.
Oh, no, you crashed your mum's car. Sorry, that was it.
I crashed into your mum's car. God.
No, I didn't. I don't think I even drove when I was home this year. I didn't even like bother driving once. I don't think I never like went out to go do something. I was kind of home the entire time. So, and if I did go out, I just like was passenger princess to my dad probably. So,
your dad was a racing driver, wasn't he? So he can.
Yes, yeah, a long
around.
time ago now. God, he stopped racing nearly 15 years ago now. Actually, thinking about it.
Wow.
Oh no, 10 years ago. Just over 10 years ago. Yeah.
Fine. You said Turks and Caicos has got some nice weather, but I know the US kind of had some wild weather last month or so. So how has it been on that side of the Atlantic?
Cold, definitely cold. A lot of snow. There's still snow outside, but it's now gone from like nice fluffy snow to just ice. Like it's just all ice. Like the actual snow itself has gotten so cold and frozen and compact that it's just kind of crappy. But it's starting to melt. Actually, it rained, I think, like when we were in Sebring. I came back and there was like much less snow than when I left. But yeah, I don't really get too bothered by cold weather. I'm like,
You're British.
Well, I go from a heated house to a heated car to a heated gym. Like it's not. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, the weather doesn't affect me too much. But yes, also I'm British, so.
Yeah, good stuff. You were at Daytona kind of end of last year, obviously doing some testing. So kind of how did that opportunity come around and why did you decide to do some testing there, considering it's not something you'd ever really done before?
Yeah, well, it's always been something I wanted to do is Daytona 24. So it's always been on my radar, but never the right opportunity just never really has arisen. I.e., I don't want to pay to do it. So I did the test with Tower Motorsports, and it went reasonably well, I think. I mean, I was there for a day, and I did maybe 20 laps, if that. You know, it's really not. You don't really get a lot of time in the car because obviously you've got 4 drivers, right? And one's the bronze who needs time in the car. The other 2 are the quote unquote LMP2 pros, who are the ones developing the setup and stuff. And then you've got me there, who's potentially going to do the race, but they're not sure yet. So it's like they kind of give me a little bit of time in the car. But it really wasn't enough, to be honest with you. But no, I did that test, and then just stuff fell through from the team's aspect, I think, for me to do Daytona. So it didn't end up doing it this year, but maybe next year. I don't know. It's not something that I'm like I need to do it, but it's something that I'd like to do at some point.
What did you think of the car, or did you get any kind of chance to gauge what it was like in those 20 laps?
I did not like it.
You didn't like it for what reason?
I'm gonna be honest. Well, okay, so I've driven LMP2, I've driven LMP3 in real life, and I've driven LMP2 on a sim a lot. And I think to be fair to the car itself, I think that Daytona, from what I've been told, is a very low grip track, and also it was a very low grip day. But like, my God, that thing was a drifting machine. Like, even with traction control as well, anytime you got on the power, just TC was kicking in all the time, and I was like, dude, this thing's got it hasn't got that much power, because obviously they bopped it massively when the new hypercar came out. So it's not fast at all down a straight. Like, it honestly felt like the LMP3 car when it from what I remember in like power wise. So it was a bit underwhelming power. It was very surreal to drive at Daytona. It was cool, definitely a cool experience. But yeah, the car was definitely a little bit less than I thought it would be. I think I was expecting a little bit more out of it. Either way, it was fun to learn a new car and to try it out and see what it was all about. But yeah, definitely not what I was expecting.
So is it not like the Sim at all then? Does it just feel completely different?
If you've driven an iRacing LMP2 car, then Yeah, it's quite a lot slower than that.
I did it in the virtual Daytona 24. We won't talk about how that ended. It ended with a stuck. It's ended with a stuck throttle pedal, which isn't always ideal. But anyway, you kind of said Daytona is one you kind of want to do, but not like you're not 100% you have to do. So, is there kind of anything else you kind of have on your bucket list? Because I know some racing drivers kind of say they want to do this, and at some point in their careers, is there anything else you kind of go, I want to do this?
The only other two things that come to mind is obviously Le Mans, and I would like to do a test in a Super Formula at some point.
Okay.
Just to experience it, really. Those are kind of the only other two things I would say that I am interested in and somewhat actively looking to do. Maybe more the Super Formula test than Le Mans. Right now, I'm not thinking about Le Mans at all, but I'm thinking more in 5-10 years' time. At some point, maybe I'll go do it. But with IndyCar these days, it's just don't have the time, really. I'm just too focused on the day job, really.
And we'll switch tack to IndyCar now. I guess media days kind of signify the kickoff to your year. So, what was the experience of them this year? What did they put you through this season?
Pretty similar to last year, if I'm honest. Very, very, very similar, if I remember correctly. I mean, last year I was very sleep deprived and jet lagged when I did it. This year, luckily, I've been in Indy for a couple of weeks beforehand. But yeah, it was pretty much the same stuff, really. I mean, photos, smile. Dude, the worst part about media day by a mile is we have to read off of teleprompters, and they're like, some of them are like ads they'll throw on like TV, I guess, but like very small, like kind of whatever ads. Some of them are like they'll have our voices on like the panel. Like if you're like at the circuit, it'd be like, I'm Louis Foster, and make sure you drink water to stay hydrated, like stuff like that, right? It's things like that. It's cool to have them do it, but there are so many, right? There's like 5 different stations that all you're doing is looking into a teleprompter and reading out what they're asking you to say. And my issue with it is you've got 7 people in front of you watching you do it. The screen isn't great. I take off my glasses anyway to read it because I don't want glare, because they always complain about glare, so I just take them off anyway. And I'm dyslexic. So, like, it's the most traumatizing experience having to, like, reread everything. It takes me probably twice as long as other drivers because I stutter and I'll say one word that's at the end of the sentence when it was, like, the wrong way round. I don't know. So that's definitely the worst part of media day, in my opinion, is having to read off a teleprompter.
Were you doing grid intros again? So you'd go, hi, Louis Foster, Odium England, and they'd move on to the next driver. Hi.
Probably. I think so.
You tell me you were there.
I don't really remember.
You probably did a lot.
We did a lot. I don't remember everything we did, but we probably did. I would imagine we did. Yeah, probably.
Nice. They were good fun. Although, what annoyed me last year, obviously you probably didn't watch it, but it was just an inconsistent driver to driver. It kind of wound me up a little bit, but hopefully they kind of knuckled down a little bit this year. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Again, I think now second year, I hope Fox has got a bit more of an understanding of the series, and maybe it'll be a little bit more streamlined certain things. So yeah, who knows? We'll see.
Is media day as bad as some drivers complain? Because they always come into like the bit with us where they do the 20-minute press conference, and the majority just moan about how they're really tired and how it's been really boring. Is it actually that bad?
Well, I mean, maybe they're a little bit pretentious. Not pretentious, but like babies. But I mean, it's not great. Like it. Some of the rooms we go into, like for example, usually the IMS room. So there's one that for Indianapolis Motor Speedway where they get content, just that the track basically. That one's usually the best one because it's fun. They realize that we've had a whole day of like crappy, boring crap, and they usually do something fun with us, which is nice because it kind of lifts our spirits a little bit. And you're still on camera, but it's just something fun and it gets a bit more emotional. And I think that's a good way to do it, honestly, because if you want good content, you need people to enjoy it, because otherwise they're just going to sit there and drone, right? Now, there are some drivers that have energy out the wazoo and are able to be super this all day. I'm not one of those people. You know, when I'm on my like 7th hour of reading like teleprompters and they're asking me to be more energetic, I look at them dead in the eyes and I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Like, there's no way you're telling me to be more energetic right now. Like, get effed. Like, no. So it's, I don't know, it's not the end of the world, but there's a lot of different things we got to do, and definitely it's draining mentally, for sure.
Where do the press conferences rank in the content day activities tier list? The better side of it. Okay.
Yeah, they tend to be not I don't know, they're different questions, and you feel a little bit. I don't know. I don't mind the press conferences, to be honest with you.
Okay,
I mean, they're not. And also, it's only like 5 minutes what we do on media day anyway. It's not very long. You get like 5 or 6 questions asked, and that's about it. So, that one's not too bad, actually.
What do you think of the media? Do you like doing media stuff? And I guess what you hate most about it?
If it's done well, then yeah. If it's shit, then no. It really does depend, because you'll do some media and you know exactly how it's going to turn out, and in your head you're like, this is just utter garbage. How is this your job? How? You're just not good at all. I could do a better job, and it's not my career. So when it's done well, and when you can kind of see that they are putting a lot of effort into it, they have a good vision for it, and you can kind of see the outcome, it's okay. But yeah, when it's monotonous, boring questions that no one really cares about, you're like, ugh. So it depends.
What's the worst question you've ever been asked?
Oh God.
Giffen Simpson got once asked, "Who are you?" So if we can improve on that, I think.
I don't know. I won't give a specific question because I can't remember, because I don't remember every question. But the ones that are usually the worst are when someone's interviewing you and they clearly haven't got a clue what IndyCar is. They have no idea, and you're like, "Why are you here then?"
Does this happen at races then, or is it just?
It happened a lot. It happened to me a few weeks ago when I was at an event. It happened to me on media day. There was a guy that was there that clearly didn't know what was going on. But they'll ask you things like, how are the tires? And you're like, fine. I don't know. How do you do a fast lap? What do you that's not a question I can really answer to you. Drive fast. What do you want me to say to you? It's things like that really, whenever I have an interview like that, I always moan to my PR person afterwards, and I'm like, that person hasn't got a clue what's going on. Why are they here? So if you're going to interview an IndyCar driver, PSA for everyone, make sure you know what you're talking about, because it's clear as day when you don't.
Your PR person must be sick about hearing about us then, so feel sorry for her. So yeah, Louis, my next question is, what's the tyres feel like when you? No, one thing that we didn't get asked, which we were like, come on, ask it. And the moderator probably didn't pick us because you are the third host of this podcast. But you actually signed a new contract in your season, which everyone must have just forgotten because nobody asked you about it on media day. We wanted to, but we'll finally do it now.
Mick, I complained about that afterwards. I was like, it was my one. And everyone asked me about Mick, and I'm like, guys, come on.
Yeah, same for Kirkwood. Nobody asked him, and I was the final person like, guys, come on, he signed a contract this off-season. But anyway, you did sign that new deal, and obviously it was a new kind of multi-year deal on top of the existing year that you had this season. So why did you decide to kind of add that extra year onto your contract?
2 years, actually.
2 years, I should say. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So for a lot of reasons, really, to be honest with you, I mean, I like the people there. I think that there is potential there within RLL. I mean, it's got to work, and I'm not going to sit here and say that, we're going to win in 2 years' time. You never know. But there's a chance for it, right? I think, I have faith in the team, and also as well, it's such a hard series to get into. The fact that I was given the opportunity by Bobby and Mike and David, that I have a lot of loyalty to them because of that, and that's something that I would like to think I am a loyal person. So when they offered this contract, it was one of those ones where it's not like I wanted to say no, but it was one of those things where it's like you can't really say no either. So it was kind of a no-brainer, and it was super easy to do as well. I mean, it's basically just the same contract, just an extension. It's only an extra page of whatever, basically saying it's now till this date. So there's no real changes. I mean, there's bits and bobs in there that are changed kind of figures wise, but no, obviously I like the environment. I like the people. I think the team has, like I said, potential to go forward. Things have got to start working though, for sure. And yeah, I want to see some of the guys who work there see some success because they deserve it at the end of the day. And I want some damn success as well. So we're working hard to get there. But yeah, that's kind of the main reason. There's no like, they gave me a Ferrari. They didn't do that. They didn't like try and sugar me up. Just wanted to be there, and trying to sign a longer contract in IndyCar is always hard. So the fact that it gets given to you is quite nice.
When was it decided, and kind of was it you going at them coming to you? Was it mutual? How did that all unfold?
It was very random. I think it was after the race at, I want to say Milwaukee. I went and saw Jay. He said, I want to talk to you after the race. And I was like, okay. So I went and talked to him. He's like, we want to sign a new deal. And I was like, okay. And he's like, we want to sign you up until X date, whenever it was. And I was like, okay, sure. Like, I have no issue with that. And then once the season finished, and then we kind of, had a bit of a break, that's when we started getting into the actual contract of it. But it was pretty easy. It was straightforward. I mean, he said what he wanted to do, and we did it. Simple as that.
I know a lot of people kind of looking in 12 months' time and thinking there's going to be a lot of top seats available based on how many people are out of contract at the end of this year. But just kind of that volatility of the next off season and giving yourself the peace of mind, being locked in kind of long-term way into making that decision when it is expected to be so turbulent next season?
Yes and no. Like, I don't want to say it makes me feel like I can relax, because at the end of the day, like, I still want to do better, and I still want to be better. It doesn't change. It won't make me work less hard. So yes and no. Like, it gives me the sense of I don't need to go into this year having to prove myself to get a seat. Yes, which is nice, and it takes some pressure off. But I've still got the pressure on myself to want to do as good of a job as I can. I've got my own goals for the next year, and the team's got their goals, and those are goals we want to achieve, and that's still pressure to do that. So. Yes and no. I mean, I honestly, I haven't really been keeping up with the market super closely. I mean, I know who's where and who's thinking about doing what and blah, 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 but you never really, I mean, who could have picked Will Binger and Andretti this time last year? No one. You know what I mean? So you never know.
Do you see any risk in committing, obviously, quite far into the future so early on? Because I guess, including this season, that's 3 more years at least now. So do you see a risk in that at all? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm locked in here for 3 years, and I would hope to say that this year I'm going to be a better driver than I was last year, and I'll keep improving. And, if the team is struggling and they can't figure out certain things, then I'm going to be kind of locked into a place where I can't show my abilities, for sure. But that's the reason why I signed it, is because I have trust in the team that they will pull through. If I didn't think that they had the ability to do so, I probably wouldn't have signed a deal, or if I would have signed a shorter one. Maybe only 2 more years rather than 3. So yeah, it is a risk at the end of the day, but at the same time, dude, I'm doing my dream job. I'm racing Indy cars. There's certain thing where greed can sometimes be a bit too high in some drivers, and it can bite them in the arse. So, when you get given an offer like this from a team, a lot of the time, unless you've got a good reason not to, it's usually a smart thing to say thank you and take it.
So you mentioned the trust. What is it that you see in the RLL team that does make you believe this is the right decision? What are you seeing, I guess, from when you first joined to now and all the evolution it's kind of undergone? What are you seeing that's making you believe that this is definitely the right decision for now?
I think there's probably 2 main reasons I can speak on. Firstly, being Droplight being involved now. Obviously, my primary sponsor now for the last, so they came on for the 500, and then have been here ever since. They've been very, very helpful. We've been able to hire a lot of people because of them, right? And a lot of those hires have been shown in the off season. So there's that aspect where I think financially the team's in a better position than they were 12 months ago. At the end of the day, money equals speed. Everyone knows that. That's kind of how it works. So that's one piece of the puzzle. Then using that money the right way is the other piece of the puzzle, and I think that's where Jay comes in. Everyone for the last 12 months since Jay signed, everyone's been talking about Jay. I'm not going to bore you with it, but he does do a very good job, obviously. I've said before. But yeah, I think he's the person that, you can have someone with a lot of money, in a race team, but not really know what to go, or not know direction. and I think he's a good person that has a clear direction. And I think those two combined, long term, is a good thing. I don't see how in my brain, I don't see how the hell in 3 years' time will be the same or worse than we are right now. In my mind, there's no way with what we've got going on. So in my mind, I can only improve.
So talking of Jay, on Media Day, you said he is an American. What does that mean?
Well, like you've got like I don't know, like there isn't really a definition for that. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I don't need to explain it to you. Everyone knows what I mean. He's just an American, like big, brawly NFL football, like probably has like 10 guns in his house, like like he's just such a like American guy. Like it's one of the people that he's just super stereotypically American in like every way, which is funny, he'll wear like I love him, but his fashion sense is not great. He'll have on like a full suit at like an award show, and then like white, like not even white sneakers, but like these really dad Nikes on as well, but with a full suit. So not like any nice shoes, like full on trainers on. And I'm like, mate, top half, great. What are you wearing on your feet, mate? Like, so I don't know. He's just an American. There's no other way to put it.
Fair play.
How American are you on a scale of British American now?
I'm getting there. Let's be honest.
You just said sneakers.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, okay, but when you live here, you have to realize that if you speak, like, if I say, "Where's the lift?" they can be like, "What?"
I'm walking down the pavement.
Yeah, like you kind of get used to the actual like difference of words that they say, because if you keep using British words and you always have to correct yourself or explain, like you just get used to it, and it just becomes kind of what you usually say. So I don't know. I'm getting there slowly but surely, I'm sure, but I still like to think I'm, pretty British. But again, I've been here now for 5 years, man. So it's yeah.
Yeah, like I know it has been 5 years. Something kind of Mick mentioned where adjusting terminology is something that he kind of found a little bit weird at first. Now, like, are you adjusted to using feet and all that sort of nonsense now, or is it like
kind of the measurements I still struggle with, like Fahrenheit? I'm trying to learn, trying to get better at. Feet, kind of like inches. I kind of get feet. I kind of get as well, but not really. But then again, it's hard to think of like, if I was to say, pull out your hand and give me 60 centimeters, you probably wouldn't get like super close, would you? Right? Yeah. You don't really know you know what it means, but you don't really know exactly how long that is. Like, so it's kind of similar in that sense. Like a foot, I think, is about. I'm not even gonna guess because I actually don't know.
I can find out in meters.
It's probably like that much, I would say.
It's about 30 centimeters.
Yeah, exactly.
A long ruler is what I always equate that to.
Like a small ruler, yeah. So yeah, but you just kind of slowly and surely kind of get into the lingo, I guess.
Did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did not, because I was on a plane.
So you definitely.
No, I wasn't. I was having dinner during the Super Bowl actually with Graham and Mick.
Graham didn't watch the Super Bowl. He's an American, surely.
Well, I don't think any of the teams that were playing we really cared about, to be honest with you. New England and
Seattle.
Seattle.
It was a bit boring.
Yeah, well, but we were in a restaurant where there was a TV up on the side, but they didn't have the volume on either. And like, I would peer every now and again, but it was like the third quarter or whatever it is, and it was like 2 touchdowns or like field goals, and I was like, like, there's no one's even scoring anyway. So
it wasn't very good. Have you been to a Colts game yet?
I've been to a preseason game. I might go to a Colts game at some point, but I just need to. I don't know when, but at some point maybe.
Have you been to any kind of stereotypical American sports yet, or?
Yeah, well, I went to a hockey game in the off season. I went to.
What team?
Toronto Leafs versus St. Louis. No, yeah, St. Louis.
St. Louis. You got to support them.
Well, I was in Toronto, so I was supporting.
Oh, okay.
But. Yeah, I went to that. I went to a few others, but nothing major really. But a basketball game for Butler and the preseason game for the Colts and a few things around there.
I've done more than you.
Yeah, well,
I went for a week.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm just not a huge sports person. I'm not like always into watching the sport.
We'll get back onto your American friend with Mr. J. I mean, I guess kind of in the last, kind of time for the team almost 18 months ago now, but kind of in that period, the team has like kind of really done a change, I guess, kind of from personnel standpoint. So when you kind of first joined 18 months ago, kind of what's the evolution of the team been? And when you look at when you first joined the team to now, what kind of are the main differences that you're seeing?
I think obviously leadership has evolved a decent amount. When I joined, there was already Grant Weaver, the new team manager, but he was new to the role, whereas now he's definitely settled in that role quite a lot. Obviously, like I said, Jay, he's been probably the biggest impact on the team since kind of start of last year, really. We got a new pit stop coach now as well, and he's super good. He's super intuitive. We got him from McLaren. So yeah, there's a lot of different people that have kind of changed the team slowly, but we've still got fundamentally similar people in similar roles. Like my mechanics are all pretty much the same, more or less. Been a bit of moving around for the new year, but more or less the same. Engineers are the same, stuff like that. So there's a good amount of new faces who are trustworthy because they have the history to back it up, right? There's no hires from like university. It's all like people from the industry that have been in roles, that have proven themselves in these roles that we've now hired, which is a good sign because I think previously there tended to be a lot of fresher hires, they weren't really quite they didn't have the history and the track record yet to back anything up. Whereas, like I said, this time we've got people that know what they're doing and have the confidence to say what they mean and what they think, which I think is very important. So that's kind of the main difference, I would say, is there's a lot of people in the team now that you can go, oh yeah, he's done this, this, and this. He's done this, this, and this, and he's won this and this. And so, there's kind of more of those people that have that track record of success within the team.
And I know, obviously, you mentioned Carl on the pit stop side, but you've obviously got Brian in from McLaren as well. And you've obviously got Gavin in, formerly of McLaren as well. So I guess those are kind of two big hires that the team kind of got in the off-season as well. So have you spoken to them much? Have they had much of an influence from what you've seen thus far?
Brian's kind of stayed a little bit more behind the scenes, obviously, with his role, but he's still there and about and doing stuff. Gavin as well, so far, nothing crazy yet. The main thing we were hiring, kind of the main reason for his hire, I think, is mainly to look at the short ovals for us, which is clearly, obviously, it's no secret we need help there. But so yeah, so far nothing major from him, but I think after the Phoenix test, that's where it's going to kind of be, the time for him to shine really, and to really dig into our car and figure out what the heck we're doing wrong, because we're clearly doing something wrong. So yeah, we'll see. But no, they've both been, I think, just getting settled into the team and their roles and understanding the people, and it takes a bit of time, as anyone would, to kind of get into the place you are and feel comfortable, gel, and then start to be able to insert your voice in areas.
I guess kind of the most recent big hire for the team has been Ryan Briscoe, obviously moving from Prema. So have you spoken to him much? Have been able to lead on his expertise much? I guess most people kind of think him as a Mick guy to help Mick up. I guess he's got an influence on you as well in some ways. Yeah,
I think driver coaches can be very, very useful. I think he's probably helping Mick more a bit at the moment. I've done 2 days with the guy now at Sebring. Super nice guy, and clearly knows what he's talking about. I didn't have a ton of things to look at from a driver performance standpoint in Sebring, if I'm honest with you. We didn't have, I was in different sessions to my teammates, and B, I was faster than them, so I couldn't really, there wasn't a lot to look at. But no, I think he's a really, really good guy. And I'm looking forward to having him on board. I think driver coaches can be a very good middleman between drivers and engineers sometimes. If they know what they're doing, they can be very good at bridging that communication gap that sometimes can arise. Almost as like a translator is kind of the way I look at it. I can tell him how I feel and what it's doing, and sometimes I can explain to the engineer what I'd want. But sometimes I'm like, I don't really know exactly what I want. But if I explain it to a driver coach, someone like Ryan, they can translate it almost, the engineer, So that can be extremely helpful when it comes down to certain moments like that.
And I'm interested in an off season that's obviously so long. When you're actually back at base with the team at the shop, what do you actually do? What sort of stuff do you actually get up to there?
Simulator a decent amount, not all the time, but once a week we'd go on the sim for half a day to get stuff done. When I'm in the shop, I'm usually just training. There isn't a big hit list in the off season for me particularly. The engineers are obviously in every day, more or less, working on certain things. But no, when I'm in the shop, it's mainly just to train. I'll train. Some days I'll just literally go in, train, and leave. Some days I'll hang around and say hello for a little bit. There's always something small that needs to be done, or there's always this little thing here, a little thing there. But we'll have meetings probably right after the season finishes, and then we'll have more meetings to pick up again before the start of the season. There's not a ton of meetings kind of, in those like November, December, January months. There's not a lot going on. So nothing like super big. It's not like we have like a massive full team meeting once a week discussing each track and kind of thing. It's not, that isn't really necessary.
So, I mean, obviously with testing so limited, like how much confidence can you actually have in, thinking you can improve stuff without actually driving? And I guess in the off season, how can you go about improving things without having track time?
I can speak from a driver standpoint on that. From an engineering and car standpoint, I probably wouldn't be the person to ask. But from a driver standpoint, staying fit, that's the easiest one. And being fitter, should I say, honestly, than the previous year. Do some simulator work on your own time, and if you've got a home sim, which most drivers do, you can practice certain techniques like lifting and coasting. You can practice in the off season. You can practice driving with a different type of car setup. Go on throw up an IndyCar and iRacing, and if you're a guy that loves understeer, just drive a really oversteery car for a couple of weeks and just try and get used to it. So there's things you can do, but it is limited for sure. And then, like I said, from a car performance standpoint, can we go into the first race and be like, yeah, we're going to be better? Like, no, we're not. We can't sit here and say, yes, we're going to be P1. We just have belief in ourselves that, we've learned enough last year and we've had enough people have their inputs that we can be better. So, no, I mean, you can be confident, but not sure. No one's sitting here going like, oh, yeah, for sure, we're going to be P1. Like, no, it's not happening. We want to be. So yeah, it's kind of a difficult one, really. I mean, there's not, like you said, there isn't a lot of testing, so you don't really get to see where you stack up or like a lot against the other teams. So you don't get that consistent data about, okay, yes, now we're on average 6th, now we're on average 5th. Like, you don't really get that. You just turn up to St. Pete and you are where you are.
Is the IndyCar realistic in iRacing if the P2 isn't?
If I'm honest with you, I really haven't driven the iRacing IndyCar a lot. It felt faster to me on iRacing when I last drove it, but then the lap time, I was doing Laguna Seca, and the lap time was quite close to real life, so I was like, maybe it's not too bad. So I think it's quite realistic, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I won at Talladega a few weeks ago, a very realistic race. So lucky you signed a multi-year contract, otherwise I'll be coming for your job soon.
those races are absolute mayhem.
Yeah.
Are you someone who watches your races back? Is that something that you do to kind of, because something that I keep seeing this off season is Dennis Hauger is constantly in the gym posting pictures on Instagram with the races. He's just constantly watching the races. Is that something you do? Is it something that maybe you did in your rookie year? And if so, like, what can you actually gain from that?
Yeah, I watch some races. I think if they're important races, I watch them back. Some races I don't watch back because nothing happened that I really need to watch. But yeah, sometimes I'll watch races back, whether it be from an onboard or whether it be from the Fox feed. I mean, it's more about just kind of understanding how a race played out and looking at each person's kind of pit stops and what they did when they were pushing, when they weren't pushing, and like you'll watch the person. That's what's a good race where someone random won, like from further back. I mean, basically pull out on everything, really. So
Rasmussen?
Yeah, that was more about just his skill, to be honest with you. That wasn't to do with any kind of like pit stops or anything, because you're not looking at it just to watch someone else do great overtakes. But let's take that example. Like, yeah, sure. It's good to just watch and see how he used the highline, because he did win the race, right? And when did he start using it? When did he stop using it? How many laps after the yellow had the marbles picked up again where he couldn't use it? Things like that, And it's not like you're sitting there taking notes, but it's more just subconscious inserting it into your head. And the more races you watch, the more times you can see how a winner won the race. I mean, honestly, if you go take like the biggest IndyCar fan in the world who knows everything about everything and watches every race with like IndyCar feed and then a feed on their phone of like the app and onboards, a fan that does that, you put them in as a strategist, they probably wouldn't do a half bad job, to be honest with you, because they know it like the back of their hand. That's kind of the job of the strategist. And whilst it's good to know it as a driver, you shouldn't have to rely on it as a driver, but there are times where you do. Look at Dixon at St. Pete when he should have won the race last year, but he didn't because he didn't have the strategist. But you put any other driver in that situation, they probably would have run out of fuel, or they probably would have finished dead last. They didn't know what was going on. But Scott didn't have any radio and was still able to go and finish, I think, second, right? Purely out of his own ability to kind of manage his own race. Now, the guy does have 27 years in the series, so there's a bit of an unfair advantage there, but like kind of thing.
Did you get any less confused as the year went on? Because I remember when we first spoke to you early last year, you kind of said you felt like people just end up spawning into places and you don't quite know who's where and all of that. So has that kind of improved as your 17 races went on?
A little bit, for sure. I mean, you get more and more used to how the races play out, and you kind of get a better understanding of where people are, and you have more mental capacity to think of other things. In your first two races, all you're thinking about is not crashing, right, and just finishing a race, and fuel's a big concern for you, and push to pass, and it's a lot of new things. So once those become second nature, then you have more room mentally to think about other things. So I would say so, yeah. I think definitely got a bit clearer, a bit better. Still a ways to go until I'm at a point where I'm happy, but it does take time. I mean, nothing is better than just doing the races and experiencing them firsthand.
Yeah, many crashes did you. Gateway, obviously, but otherwise, Detroit, that wasn't really your fault. So
yeah, Detroit, yeah.
St. Petersburg, that wasn't really your fault either. So
no, yeah.
This is just like, I guess in the off season, I know maybe it's not the easiest thing in the world because you don't get the testing, but is there any kind of particular focuses that you have either from an individual standpoint or kind of things that the team focus on? Like, I know you said there were a few weaknesses like race days overs, for example. So is there anything that is a particular focus, and kind of how can you, or maybe even the team, apply a little bit of a focus into that when you can't test?
Again, from a team perspective, they do a lot of different things in the off season. Some things probably shouldn't speak about, honestly. I would rather keep it more confidential for them. But from a personal standpoint, really is training. Like that's the gist of it, is staying fit, staying active, being better for next year, because you can't drive, you're limited on what you can do. Some drivers swear by going and doing things in the off season and driving different cars in the off season. Some don't. I probably fall into the don't category. I don't think it's necessary or it's the end all be all. I mean, look at someone like Dixon and Power. I mean, they don't usually drive cars in the off season. They don't do something else. I mean, maybe they do Daytona. Yes, but
Dixon does Daytona and Power this year, actually.
Yeah, so they went into Daytona. But apart from that, most drivers didn't do anything but just Daytona, right? Which is definitely a good race to kind of kickstart you for the year, for sure. But yeah, just training, really, being fit and active. And then, yeah, like I said, there's things from the team's perspective that they're doing day in, day out. But yeah.
I'm sure Armstrong said he did like 6 weeks of go-karting back in Europe, which is like, that's kind of mad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he's always been a pretty big fan of karting. I think that's kind of who he is. And, if it works for him, then all power to him. Go-karting is great for physicality and staying fit. They're very hard to drive, actually, some of the faster ones, and you've got to be very fit to drive them. So it's great for that. How much it translates to driving an IndyCar? Not sure it's that translatable, but I think from a fitness standpoint, it's a very good thing to do.
So if Armstrong wins the championship, you're going to spend your entire next off-season driving go-karts?
Honestly, mate, if he wins the championship, I still probably wouldn't go drive go-karts for 6 weeks. That's something I want to do. It's not, I don't mind doing a go-kart every now and again, but yeah, 6 weeks straight. I think.
Do you rock up to a go-kart track and like get close to that record as a professional racing driver, or no?
No, some of these guys that drive go-karts are really quick, really quick. I was never good in a go-kart anyway. I was not good at all. So no, it's not like we rock up and we're like the bee's knees. Yeah, like we're good. Don't get me wrong. We're not bad, but it's a very different style of driving.
Yeah.
I never mastered personally because I never got to that level in go-karts.
Because you see people like Behrman spend their off-season, he's just trying to get lap records in some random gaps in Sweden. So I don't know if that's every racing driver thing. But
trying to get to a random club event, but it's not like, if an F1 driver goes to like, PF, they're going to just immediately do the lap record. Like, no, there are kids that drive at those tracks that are rapid. Plus, also don't forget, most of us are quite heavy, and go-kart weight matters.
Yeah,
so
true.
That's a big one. I mean, I was at K1 Speed last night with Rasmussen, and we were like a second off of the lap record at K1 Speed.
Who was quicker?
He was.
Oh. But you won the social media battle.
I did win it.
That's more important.
Yeah.
Listen, we've got this far without talking about Mick, so I feel like we probably have to ask you what have your early impressions been of working with him? Because to be fair, I guess since media day you've actually had more of an opportunity, kind of being embedded with the team, actually working with him. So yeah, how are you getting on? You said you had a dinner with him and Graham. So what's the lowdown?
I mean, honestly, there's nothing dramatic. I mean, he's a nice guy. He wants to do well. He's motivated. He brings good opinions and thoughts to the team, which is what I kind of was hoping he would, coming from the pinnacle in Europe. There's nothing like crazy, really. I mean, like I said, he's obviously a talented guy. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. He's got a lot of experience, probably more experience than I and Graham. And like I said, he clearly wants to come here and he wants to make a name for himself in IndyCar. I think he's tried F1, he's realized it hasn't worked and it's not going to work. I think he's gone, I'm going to go do it in IndyCar. I want to have my own legacy out here. My dad's got his legacy in F1. I want to have a legacy in IndyCar. It's kind of the way I look at it. It's the way I think his brain is. I might be way off the mark there, but I don't think it's a bad idea if that is his thought process, because I think he can succeed in IndyCar, but he obviously needs to apply himself, which he is doing, to be fair. Like I said, he's not walking in like, well, in Formula One, blah. It's like, okay, this is IndyCar. Okay, let me understand more and get better and improve. And I think it's a different car to what he's driven for sure. So I think it'll take him some time to really sink his teeth into it and get up to pace. But who knows? Who knows?
I suppose the fact that you say nothing crazy is kind of a positive in itself. Like you say, it's not like he's coming in and acting like he's been to F1, a big know-it-all. Like from the outside, it feels like he's coming with quite a lot of humility, I would say.
Yes, exactly. I would say so as well. I think, it's very easy for someone in his situation with his experience and his name to be able to be a bit more of a dick, let's be honest, right? But he isn't. So no, I'm looking forward to the year. We get on really well, all three of us. I think we will get on well better than maybe we expected. Not that we weren't expecting to get on, but I mean, from the get-go, it's been really friendly and really nice. And I'm sure only the team environment will get better and better as the year goes on, the more we know each other. So I've always been super close to Graham. I've always thought extremely, extremely highly of Graham. And yeah, I obviously think extremely highly of Mick as well, especially for taking this risk that he is taking, really, to come and do IndyCar. That takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage, and I respect that.
Ready for an entire season of just being asked about him every single weekend?
Well, I think it'll calm down in a bit,
Probably.
I mean, I hope we get to a point where my results start showing enough people want to start asking about me a bit more. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
but,
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the target. If they're still asking about Mick halfway through the year, then clearly I'm not doing a good enough job. So
that's the biggest goal then. Just make them ask about yourself.
I mean, if they ask about me more, then clearly I'm doing a good job. So, but no, I think it's obviously right now it's a bit of a rush with him being new and whatnot, but I imagine it'll calm down a little bit at some point.
Yeah, we'll get back onto you because you've probably been asked more questions about him than you have yourself this off season. So I'll put it back on the right track. I'm looking forward in 20 years' time to see Louis Foster Jr. try and make his own legacy in Formula One after 7-time IndyCar champion Louis Foster has dominated the States?
Drive. No way.
Why not?
Expensive. I don't have.
No, it's too expensive.
It's way too expensive, man. Unless I get a big contract, it's not. Bankrupt by a little kid karting. Yeah.
Well, Andretti have got off their Hurton money, so you rejoin with your old team, and in 5 years' time, getting Hurton money, and Louis Foster Jr. can be an IndyCar champion.
If that happened, then there would be a chance of that for sure. Yeah.
You said to us last time we spoke to you that provisional, maybe early goals or expectations or hopes are kind of another podium, top 15 in the championship. So is that something you're kind of still are pretty happy with? Would you adjust that slightly? Is anything adjusted your mind at all?
Not really. I think that's probably for me, those goals are good goals, realistic goals. I think maybe add a win in there would be nice. I think that is something that could be realistic. So yeah, I think that's really where we're at for this year. I don't see us really, if we can challenge for a top 10 in the championship, that'd be great. I think that'd be hard. So I think a top 15 is probably the goal we're going to set out. I've always view it as, well, firstly, I'm here for 3 more years, right? So, it's the goals for the following year are going to be hopefully higher. So for me, when I set goals, I want things that are achievable, because if I say, I want to win the championship, it's like, let's be real here, that's probably not going to happen. Like we're shooting for a different, galaxy. Like it's just, so yeah, I mean, obviously we want to do as well as possible. We want to win as many races as possible. We want to, get as many points as possible. But I think our realistic goals for this year is if we can finish top 15 in the championship, get a podium, maybe a win, get another pole. I think if we wrap that up this year, I don't think there's anyone on the team that's going to go, oh, I wish we could have done better. I think everyone will go, you know what, that's a good step. Like, we'll take that.
And before we finish, we probably should ask you about today's news as a Honda driver. So how important is it that they've kind of reaffirmed this long-term commitment to IndyCar? I don't know whether you have any thoughts on it, but the floor is yours.
I mean, it's good for the series, obviously. I think I haven't read much into it. To be honest with you, I don't know the full depth of the story and what it means for the series, but from my understanding, they get charters, and that obviously, allows them to feel a little bit more connected to the series, so they can't just, drop it and leave. Because yeah, at the end of the day, if one of them leaves and decides it doesn't align with their business anymore, then it's a pretty big deal. Now we only have one engine manufacturer in IndyCar, and that's a big hit. And there's not engine manufacturers lining up to join IndyCar, let's be honest. So I think it's a really good thing. I think the series has done a good job with that. I think that, yeah, it's good to keep them on board and keep them happy. At the end of the day, you want to keep the engine suppliers happy because they work hard and spend a lot of money on the series. And, I think it's good that IndyCar shows their appreciation for that.
You've been asked a lot about Mick. Your new livery, how many times have you been told it looks like a Hunkos? Not too many. A few times. Yeah, I think it looks awesome in its own right.
Well, we've got a few more fun liveries coming, so it's not the only one. But,
nice. Okay, cool.
But yeah, no, I mean, it does look a little like a Hunkos, but I mean, it's
nice. Oh, nobody can go around saying, "Oh, it looks like a." But Rob's looks nothing like that. So
yeah,
this is a proper patriotism. He's American, isn't he?
He also is an American. Yeah, slightly different, like font to J, but still definitely an American. But yeah, no, I mean, it does look a bit like a Hunkos, but
it looks nice.
It is what it is.
And that's what's keeping you in the series. So no one listening has the right to complain.
Exactly. No, we got some...
would be short of hosts.
Yes, yeah.
I'll be kind and offer you the opportunity to tell people what drop light is, because I actually have no idea, and I'm not sure if Dan has any idea as well. So
really because I've asked this so many times, and I'm really bad.
You've been asked this a lot of times, have you? Oh, wow, okay.
Well, no, I'll be asked by a friend or family, but
okay.
The best explanation I can give you is go onto Google drop light. It's like the first one, and it'll explain it there. But long story short, if you got a business and you're trying to grow, they're the people to talk to.
Connor Daly had a livery, I think, 2 years ago. We spent weeks researching it and still couldn't find out what it is or what it does. That's a better explanation. polka dot or something. We could never find out what it did.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I don't know. So there are dodgy sponsors in racing. Like there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like
not Drop Light though.
No,
let's make that clear.
They're good. They're good guys. But yeah, that's what they do more or less. Is grow businesses. They have a whole team of people there in every industry and in every area of a business they have. You would have in a business to be able to grow the business from, I don't know, from let's say you're turning over $1 million a year, they can turn it into making $100 million a year kind of thing.
Awesome. Just before we end, Louis, I think as we're closer to the season restarting, we have to remind of the competition that we said we do at the end of last season, where you're looking, trying to remember it. I'll remind you that
there's no chance you've remembered this.
No, the weirdest thing you sign this season gets a pair of driver gloves.
Yeah, there hasn't. Oh, well, okay. I guess to be fair, the weirdest thing I signed actually would be was it at Nashville? Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was Nashville. It was at Nashville last rest of the year. Girl called Andrea. She made a T-shirt with my face on the back, and it said.
We heard this, I think.
And I did sign that for her. So that's probably the weirdest thing I signed.
Listeners, weirder this year, please. We need to up that, up the ante.
I need to be able to remember it. If I can't remember it, it wasn't weird enough to. Like, it needs to be like, I don't know, off the top of my head, like signing a cast. Well, no, that's not super weird. That's like kind of common.
That's quite normal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of normal. I don't know, maybe like signing a passport or something. I don't know. That's probably not.
Oh no, that can't be legal.
I don't know what else. I don't know. Signing like.
I don't know.
This is for the listeners to work out. Like, I don't know, a pineapple. Sign a pineapple or something. Or spikes.
Good. That's random.
You can't use a pineapple now because that was my idea. But you have to tag us and Louis.
Random, like just anything. Like the CD cover of like Sex in the City. Like just something fucking.
Bring a lamp to a race to get Louis to sign your lamp, so that when it lights up, it displays his signature all over your room.
That's great. I like that one. Yeah.
So come up with your ideas. You've got 18. Well, I say 18 races at 17 events because there's 2 in Milwaukee. So you've got 17 events to try and find it, and we'll see. We'll come back in 12 months' time, and well, not even 12 months. The season ends in 7 months. We'll come back in 7 months and make a decision on what the studio item you sign.
If it's not weird enough, I won't remember it.
I'm looking forward to. Well, hopefully, if you all get on board, look forward to the driver signing things where the person sitting next to you sees a pineapple every week and goes, "Look, what's going on here? Why every week are you signing this pineapple?"
Yes, that's going to be interesting for the other drivers for sure.
All the other drivers aren't entertaining, clearly.
No, clearly not.
Anyway, Louis, that's all we've got for you. We're looking forward to St. Petersburg starting in 2-3 weeks' time. I mean, it's kind of flown by from our end. I don't know if it's flown by from your end, probably not. Has it been quick? 6 months?
Been somewhat quick, yeah, I would say. It always creeps up upon you faster than you realize.
Yes, I would agree. We got to our predictions episode in a few weeks and our preview, and suddenly we're there. So anyway, speeding by, but thanks for your time again. I'm sure we'll catch up with you at some point this season. Unlike last year, you have a very, very busy start, so we'll let you crack on with the start of the season. But good catching up with you, and I'm sure we'll speak to you sometime in the future.